The notion that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity is a contentious and complex issue. While it may seem far-fetched to some, there are those who argue that the media's portrayal of global warming is, in fact, a veiled attack on Christian values and principles. To understand this perspective, it is essential to delve into the underlying themes and ideologies that drive the media's narrative on global warming. One of the primary concerns is that the media's emphasis on global warming is often accompanied by a sense of moral urgency, implying that those who do not accept the prevailing climate change narrative are somehow morally deficient or even evil. This kind of rhetoric can be seen as an attempt to shame and guilt-trip individuals, particularly Christians, into conforming to a particular worldview. By framing climate change as a moral imperative, the media may be seen as imposing a secular, humanistic morality that supplants traditional Christian values. Furthermore, the media's coverage of global warming often highlights the need for drastic, collective action to mitigate its effects. This can be perceived as an attempt to promote a form of global governance, where individual nations and communities are subordinated to a higher, international authority. For some Christians, this may be seen as a threat to their sovereignty and autonomy, as well as their right to make decisions based on their faith. The idea of global, secular authority dictating policies and regulations may be viewed as an affront to the biblical principle of individual responsibility and stewardship. Another concern is that the media's focus on global warming can be seen as a distraction from more pressing issues, such as poverty, injustice, and human rights. By prioritizing climate change above other concerns, the media may be perpetuating a form of eco-idolatry, where the natural world is elevated to a position of supreme importance, superseding human dignity and well-being. This can be problematic for Christians, who believe that human life is sacred and created in the image of God. By emphasizing the need to protect the planet at all costs, the media may be promoting a form of environmentalism that is at odds with Christian teachings on the value and dignity of human life. Some critics also argue that the media's narrative on global warming is often rooted in a secular, materialistic worldview that excludes or marginalizes spiritual perspectives. By reducing the complex issues surrounding climate change to scientific or economic terms, the media may be overlooking the deeper, spiritual dimensions of the problem. For Christians, the natural world is not just a collection of physical resources to be exploited or protected, but a sacred trust created and sustained by God. By ignoring or dabbling this spiritual dimension, the media may be perpetuating a form of spiritual blindness, where the underlying causes and consequences of environmental degradation are obscured or overlooked. Additionally, the media's handling of global warming can be seen as an attempt to undermine traditional Christian values, such as thriftiness, self-reliance, and skepticism towards authority. A constant barrage of apocalyptic warnings and dire predictions can create a sense of fear and anxiety, which may be used to justify drastic, government-imposed solutions that erode individual freedoms and autonomy. For Christians, this might be seen as a form of spiritual manipulation, where the media uses fear and guilt to control people's thoughts and actions, rather than encouraging them to think critically and make informed decisions based on their faith. In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity may seem extreme, there are valid concerns that the media's narrative on climate change is often rooted in a secular, humanistic worldview that excludes or marginalizes Christian perspectives. By emphasizing the need for collective action, global governance, and environmental protection, the media may be promoting a form of eco-idolatry that supplants traditional Christian values and principles. As Christians, it is essential to engage critically with the media's narrative on global warming, recognizing both the scientific and spiritual dimensions of the issue, and seeking to promote a more nuanced and balanced understanding of the complex relationships between human beings, the natural world, and God.